Good morning, students. Today we will discuss about eutrophication. What is meant by eutrophication? So, eutrophication is a process of adding nutrients to ponds or lake water from industries and agriculture sectors. Many fertilizers or nutrients are contaminated with pond or lake waters. The ponds and lakes which are over nutrited are called eutrophic lake. So whenever ponds or lake contain these over nutrients, the algae or planktons and fungus are grown all over the ponds. Like this way, so whenever the algae or fungi are grown all over the lakes and ponds, they utilize the dissolved oxygen and they can spread all over the pond or lake. So after spread all over the lake or ponds, after some days they can died and they are reaches to bottom of the lake or ponds as a sediments. So like this way, after some years, the lakes or ponds are sedimented with these algae or fungi. Finally, the lakes or ponds will be dry. Means after some years, the lake will not appear in that area. So in this way, the over nutrients, mainly the nutrients are mainly phosphorus or nitrates. So these are released from the agriculture sector or industries. So when these nutrients are present in the pond or lake water, the phytoplanktons and algae will grow overly all over the ponds and lakes. This leads to the finally disappearing of lakes or ponds. This is called eutrophication. So when you observe the diagram, one see in first step, phosphates or nitrates are contaminated or run off into lake or ponds. Run off means flow. The meaning is flow. So whenever they are run off into the lakes or ponds, they are over nutrients. So whenever they are overly nutriated, the phytoplankton and algae are grown overly, means luxuriant growth will be observed in the lakes and ponds. So after some days, the algae or phytoplanktons will die and they can reach us to bottom of the lake or pond as a sediments. See, this is the sedimentation. The process is called sedimentation. So when this sedimentation increases, what happens? The depth of the lake or ponds will be decreases by these sediments. Means the ponds and lakes will be filled up with these sediments. So finally, the ponds or rivers will be filled up these sediments and they are disappear after some years. So like this way, eutrophication causes to disappearance of these ponds or lakes. Next, this eutrophication observed in two ways. First one, natural eutrophication, and second one, human induced eutrophication. In natural eutrophication, when effluent and drainage water from the fields are let out into the lakes and ponds, they are causes to natural eutrophications. Effluents means waste materials. So already I discussed it first. When the waste materials are run off from the agriculture sector and industries naturally, so what happen, the natural water will contaminated with these are nutriated with these water with these nutrients. So this is a result in the growth of algae and fungi and phytoplanktons. So the uneven growth of these phytoplanktons and fungus and algae, what happened, depletion of oxygen. Depletion of oxygen means already some oxygen is dissolved in the water, that is called dissolved oxygen. By using this dissolved oxygen, they can grow uneven. Uneven means they can overgrowth, source of overgrowth all over the pond. So this leads to the dangerous to aquatic life. So already some aquatic animals are present in the ponds and plants, ponds and rivers. So whenever the dissolved oxygen is decreases, they can die due to this eutrophication. Next, artificial eutrophication. So artificial eutrophication are also called as man-made eutrophication. This is arises due to many human activities. By our activities only this happen in the ponds and rivers. What happen in this process? What happen? Pesticides and fungicides. What we are using the fertilizers and fungicides in agriculture sector. These are mixed with water, and whenever these water run off into the lakes and ponds, what happen, the water will be contaminated with these pesticides and fungicides. Again the fungus or algae or phytoplanktons will grown with these help of pesticides and fungicides and leads to the depletion of dissolved oxygen. So finally they can show overgrowth or uneven growth all over the ponds, and they can utilize the dissolved oxygen, and it leads to the depletion of dissolved oxygen, and finally it became a dangerous to aquatic life. Like this way, it happened in two ways. First one, natural eutrophication, and the second one, artificial eutrophication. Next, causes. What are the main causes to eutrophications? So the main causes to eutrophication is first one, sewage. Sewage means we know that wastewater which is released from the homes, that is called sewage. Second one, agriculture. What we are cultivating the agriculture, in the agriculture we are using some fertilizers and fungicides. So by the help of these two, sewage means wastewater from the houses or domestic purpose, agriculture wastages which are comes from the agriculture sector. So these two are the main reasons for the eutrophication. Why? Because they contain some nutrients. So whenever they are run off into the water, these water whenever contaminated with river or pond water, so there leads to the growth of algae or fungi and also phytoplanktons. So whenever these are overgrown, what happen? Already you know that they utilize that nutrients, they can grow overly on the rivers or ponds. Next, effects of eutrophication. What type of effects we will observe in the eutrophication process? See, mainly, so whenever the algae produced grown all over the ponds or rivers, they can release some toxic substance or toxic chemicals. Due to this toxic chemicals, what happen, the aquatic animals like fish or prawns or etc. will killed due to this toxic substance. So this is the first effect of eutrophication. Second one, eutrophication also results in the production of many microbes. Due to this eutrophication process means the algae or fungi whenever decomposed in the pond or lake water, that is called decomposition process, they are leads to the produce many microbes. Microbes means bacteria or virus which are pathogenic. Pathogenic means they are causes to many diseases. So several diseases. Like this way, this is also one of the effects. Next, third one, The weeds and planktons. Weeds means already we know that కలుపు మొక్కలు మనం ఏమంటాం వీడ్స్ అంటాం. సో వీడ్స్ అండ్ phytoplankton may affect the quality of flow of water. So when our ponds water or river water contain weeds and phytoplankton, so the quality of water means dissolved oxygen will be decreases, quality of water also will decreases. Next, continued eutrophication dumps huge quantity of organic matter from the other sources, which result in the decrease of depth of the rivers and due to accumulation of mud. This process is called dystrophic state. So whenever these algae or fungi or phytoplanktons or organic matter are decomposed and settled as a sediment, what happened, the depth of the river or ponds are decreases due to accumulation of mud. So those substance can accumulated means settled as a sediments in the river or ponds. This is called accumulation. So finally what happened, whenever these are accumulated continuously, the rivers or ponds are filled with these sediments. So whenever these are filled with these sediments, after some years the ponds or rivers are disappear. This is called dystrophic state. So next, fifth effect, during the reduction of phosphates and nitrates. So some bacteria are also present in the ponds and the lake, already in the fourth point I told you. So in that phosphates or nitrates process, the bacteria can utilize the oxygen to reduce the phosphates and nitrates. Means in this way they release H2S gas, means hydrogen sulfide gases. This is causes to foul smell of water. Foul smell means bad smell of water. Means the ponds and rivers contain a pure water, fresh water, but whenever the eutrophication process occur in these ponds and rivers water, they can leads to the foul smell, means bad smell of water, due to releasing of H2S gases. This gas is released by some bacteria in the reduction process of phosphates and nitrates. This is the effects of eutrophication. Next, control of eutrophication process or controlling methods of eutrophication process. What type of methods we should take to control eutrophication process? In this process, first one, the wastewater must be treated before its discharge. So before we are discharging the wastewater, we should treat it with some chemicals. So before it discharging, we should treated that water. Treated means we should by chemical reaction we can purify the water. Next is one more important one, second one, nitrogen and phosphorus can be removed by the chemical treatment in order to check eutrophications. Before we are discharging or releasing the water into the ponds and lakes, we should treated some chemicals to remove nitrogen and phosphorus substances. So by using some chemical treatments, we can remove the nitrogen and phosphorus in the water. By this way we can remove the eutrophication or control the eutrophication. Third one, chemical precipitations. One of the process by using alum or lime. Alum, you know that is the one of the mixed salt or double salt, and lime, calcium hydroxide. This is also lime. So by using these two chemicals we can remove the phosphates by chemical precipitation process, or you can also use sodium aluminate to precipitate phosphates. If you want to remove the phosphates from the water, we should use the substance like aluminum or sodium aluminate or alum or lime. By these chemicals we can remove the phosphate by the chemical precipitation process. Next, fourth one, aquatic plant growth can be directly checked and eliminated from the lake. Sometimes we should do some process. We should remove the algae or phytoplanktons directly from the ponds or lakes. In this way, we can control somewhat eutrophication. Next, fifth one, eutrophication may also checked by the use of some selective herbicides such as copper sulfate and sodium arsenate. By using copper sulfate or sodium arsenate, these two are used as herbicides. Herbicides means they can kill the algae or fungi and also phytoplanktons. Whenever we are using these chemical substances or copper sulfate and sodium arsenate, they can kill algae and fungi and also phytoplanktons. These are used as herbicides. So whenever they kill algae or fungi, then we can control the eutrophication process in the ponds and lakes. The decrease in dissolved oxygen content faces a consequent threat to the aquatic life. So whenever aquatic dissolved oxygen is decreases in the ponds and lakes, so there is a severe threat to aquatic life. So that's why in this way we can control the eutrophication process. Whenever we are using herbicides or chemicals like alum or lime or phosphates, we can control the eutrophication process and we can save the aquatic life also. Next, we can also find an increase in the artificial lakes and ponds for the growth of fish, prawns and other aquatic animals in the recent years. Nowadays we are doing some artificial ponds, means natural ponds. Ponds or rivers are generally found in the naturally in the nature, but in some recent years, means nowadays we are creating artificial lakes and ponds for the growth of fish, prawns and aquatic animals. Means we are observing some ponds for cultivating fish or prawns or aquatic animals. In this way we can also control the eutrophication process. By creating artificial ponds, we can control the eutrophication process. So in the artificial ponds we can cultivate fish or prawns or some aquatic animals like crabs, like etc. So this is about eutrophication process. If you have any doubts, you can comment on WhatsApp. This is about eutrophication process. Very important question. You have to read it carefully.